Hey, what's up? I'm Marty Yang, creator of the Lucky Brain podcast. Thanks so much for tuning in. If you're enjoying the content, please hit the like button and also subscribe to my channel. Thanks so much. Hope you enjoy. Jon Alpine, bro. Thanks for doing this again. We did this once and the video was dog shit. So we're doing part two. So we should probably introduce you first for the listeners. Jon Alpine, you are, well, that's your music moniker.
Yes,
if that's a correct term.
Yep.
moniker to use. But I like the name. We're talking a little bit about your first alias and how it was just too confusing. So you're like Jon Alpine. Hey, I have a question about that. You're a music producer, but you also live in Seattle where there's a lot of trees. Are there a lot of alpine trees? Did that come into play?
I mean, it's sort of a play off of, being in the great outdoors and just loving going on hikes and stuff like that.
I thought so.
Yeah. It's
Very
definitely
cool.
a play on that.
Very cool. I was just talking to one of my friends who was living in Seattle for a while.
Mm-hmm.
I had him on the podcast a couple episodes ago, but he was telling me Seattle is like one of the most beautiful places, and I can tell by the pictures that you post. Good God, man! It looks amazing.
It's one of those things where Seattle was never even on my list of places I wanted to check out. It just has this reputation as being very rainy and gloomy, and like that's definitely well deserved. It does get dark and gloomy in the winter, and it does rain, but the great outdoors is so accessible from here, and what you can get to is just world class. I mean, and it's very close. So you've got Mount Rainier National Park, you've got North Cascades National Park, and you've got Olympic National Park, and those are all within 3-4 hours of Seattle, which is a major city, which has everything you could hope to get in a major city. I mean, Mount Rainier, which is this enormous volcano, which I didn't know when I moved here, but it's visible from a lot of the city. So on a clear day, there's this massive volcano off in the distance.
Wow.
Just like covered in glaciers. And yeah, it's just one of those things. That's not what Seattle's known for. It's known for being rainy, and it's known for being kind of like, kind of gloomy. So that was a really nice surprise, because my, my wife and I moved out here in 2017. She got a job, and we were like, well, it's going to be rainy. We'll make the best of it. And actually, we absolutely love it here. I mean, we happen to meet a few people who were very into the outdoors, very into backpacking, and they kind of took us under their wing and showed us the ropes, because it can be intimidating to just hike out into the backcountry without any experience and not really knowing what gear you need, how to plan out a trip. And for a lot of the more popular backpacks, you need to navigate the reservation system and get permits and all this. So we were very fortunate to meet people who that was old hat to them. And they just took us out in the backcountry. And now, I mean, we can't get enough. I mean, this summer we did a backpack my wife and I did a backpack in the Cascades, just the two of us. And we took off the whole weeks. I mean, not that there was anywhere you could really travel this year, but we were fortunate where the actual trailhead of the hike we did was like 90 minutes from Seattle. And we spent like a week in the backcountry.
Wow.
And again, just like on a trail that you don't hear much about, it's not even like a very popular trail. And just like every lake you stop at is stunning. There's these snow-capped mountains, and it's like dead silent. I mean, we did start in the middle of the week, but I love it. So Jon Alpine for me, kind of encapsulates my enthusiasm for the outdoors, but also it just feels like it fits the sound of my music. And like you were saying, I produced under a different name for years. I produced under the name of Catacresis from 2010, let's say, to to this year. So almost 10 years.
Oh, wow. I didn't know it was that recent.
I decided to switch it up at the beginning of this year. Kind of had been living in denial of the fact that, you know, part of being a musician is getting your music in front of people.
Right.
And I was living under this very anti-social media. I still kind of feel that way. I don't know if anyone loves social media, but it's a tool, you know? So
yeah,
I was like, I need a different name. I feel stupid saying catacresis. It's not a name that I want to use anymore. So yeah. So
Jon Alpine fits really well.
Jon Alpine. I spent a long time thinking about it, so I'm glad you like it.
Yeah, dude. Jon Alpine fits really well. So you know, that is one of the things that caught my attention about you is your music. Your music is dope, man. So for people wanting to look you up, it's, you know, Jon Alpine, Spotify, Apple Music. Do you have your music anywhere else besides those two platforms?
It's everywhere. I mean, I use a distributor called DistroKid, and they put it on, I mean, you name it, Deezer, Amazon Music.
Wow. Okay.
YouTube. I mean, Google Play. I don't know if that's still a thing.
Yeah.
It's on TikTok. It's on Instagram stories.
Wow. Deezer.
So yeah, which is a streaming platform I did not know existed. Before.
So you use a company to help distribute your music?
Yeah, there's a few distributors. I think the distributor I use is called DistroKid.
DistroKid.
Yeah. And so I'll finish a track, I'll push it to DistroKid, and you can set the release date, and it'll then take that and push it to a bunch of different stores. And yeah, so
very cool. That makes it easy.
My stuff, yeah, and my music's also on Bandcamp, because I've had a few my stuff is not on Beatport right now. Have you heard of Beatport?
Yes, I have.
Beatport is really big with DJs, because if you're going to DJ a party or whatever, you need to have the actual files. You can't like DJ off of Spotify, is my understanding.
Okay,
so
I see what you're saying.
My stuff's not on. I don't have distribution on Beatport yet, but I have had DJs reach out and ask where they can get my files so they can like perform with them.
There we go.
And it's on Bandcamp, so you can buy it. If you want the files, you can download them on Bandcamp.
Very cool. Yeah. Very cool, man. So that's one of the reasons why I wanted to talk to you is your music. And we talked a little bit about this on the last podcast, but so the instruments, when you're creating your music, what is it? It's a combination. I see you got a couple guitars there. One is acoustic, one is electric in the background. Those are instruments that you are able to plug into your computer or some type of like an audio interface or something like that?
Yeah.
And you can just jam with your like music that you're using with whatever software you're creating on?
Yeah, so I use a program called Ableton Live.
That's right.
And I've been using that since 2010 as well. And I have an audio interface. I'm looking at it right now. I can't show you it, but it's a very simple two input audio interface. And I've got my electric guitar, which I can plug directly into the audio interface, which is just USB, connects right into the computer. And Ableton plays very nicely with audio interfaces. So
sweet.
So yeah, I'll plug my electric guitar right into the interface, and it's, you know, for the longest time I have this tiny amp that I
Marshall
used. Yeah, I got that little Marshall amp that I've been using for years, and that's how I would play my Telecaster. And I would use I wouldn't plug it into the software at all. I would literally so some of my older music that you can find on Spotify. So I have a song called Earthbound Poetics, for example, where the electric guitar that you hear is recorded through that amp out in the air. It's not plugged into the software at all. But Ableton Live is really amazing because you see, I don't know if you've ever seen guitarists where they'll have, you know, a board of pedals that they're triggering different effects with.
Of course.
And the cool thing about Ableton Live is it's as though I have unlimited pedals.
Oh yeah.
To just fiddle with it however I want.
Distortion, reverb, all that good stuff.
Yeah, it's as though I had just like an infinite cabinet of effects, and I could do whatever I wanted with them. So that's the nice thing about Ableton. It's definitely so yeah, guitar is a big part of my music production. I don't use it in every track, but I feel like it definitely gives it a unique sound, and it's the instrument I know how to play. I am by no means a virtuoso on the guitar, but I've been playing for years. So if I get a melody in my head, I can usually crank it out eventually.
Yeah.
And yeah, so I have a what would you call it? Just like an audio microphone that I record the acoustic guitar into the program with.
I see.
But yeah, and then another big thing that I'll do is I will sample myself. So I'll record a guitar loop. And in fact, I saw the video of mine that you posted to your story uses that a lot. So I'll record a loop and it plays through, and then I'll take that and I'll chop it up into pieces for the next part of the song. So I do a lot of that as well.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Interesting. Cool. So, man, for people who haven't listened to your music is strictly instrumentals. I haven't heard one with vocals, correct?
Not yet. It's funny you say that. So I have been working in secret in my laboratory for the last 2 months. I've been working with a vocalist called Aniela, who I know through SoundCloud for years and years. I've known her, we found each other's music on SoundCloud. And we have a song hopefully coming out in December. It's being mixed and mastered right now, and she sings on it. So we will have some singing.
Very cool.
But yes, apart from that song, which is not out yet, and I'm hoping December, no, it's all instrumentals.
It's all instrumentals. So, is there a specific reason why you chose to do that?
To just do instrumentals?
To just do instrumentals?
It's a good question. I guess it's just the kind of music that comes out. I have, I'm not super fond of the sound of my own voice when I sing, so that's part of it. But I think of melodies all the time. Yeah. And I'm actually like my job is as a writer. So in fact, so the song Night Sky is what it's called that Aniela is singing on. So I put together the instrumental, I wrote the melody, wrote the words, and then I was like, I basically sang it. I sang a terrible recording of it, and I told her it was like blackmail material. And I was like, I need you to sing this. And she did an incredible job.
Amazing.
I'm like, this is a fun step in that direction as a producer, to be like, oh, I can use other people's voices as instruments too, because I'm not fond of this instrument. I can have someone else sing it, and fantastic. Yeah. So Aniela did it. She absolutely killed it, and I'm super excited to share that with people.
Yeah, man. Looking forward to it.
Yeah. So it's sometime in December.
Very cool. This is interesting. I've been kind of thinking about this for over the past year or so, is that, some of my favorite artists, say for example, Red Hot Chili Peppers, Sublime, System of a Down, in terms of like bands.
I'm a huge Sublime fan, by the way. Sublime was like my first. I'm a huge Sublime fan.
Yeah, but some of their music, like early on, so the lead singer, if I'm not mistaken, his name is Bradley, right? Bradley Beal, is that what it is?
Bradley Noel was the lead singer of Sublime. Yeah,
Bradley Noel. So he doesn't he has a dope voice, but it's not like Alicia Keys. You know what I'm saying? It's not like this incredible voice, but the uniqueness in the uniqueness that everybody brings to their own like creation of whatever the fuck they're doing. Like, for example, you and I right now, there's no other people that could create this podcast except you and I, because we're the ones creating this motherfucker.
Yeah.
Right. So when it comes to singing, there's a band called Phoenix. They're a great band. I like a lot of their songs, but I mean, I heard the lead singer and I heard the band on NPR Tiny Desk Concert. If you guys are wanting to know like what they sound like raw, I mean, the music is good, but the vocals that guy has is not that good. But some reason they're fucking rock stars. So yeah, man, I don't know. It may sound funny to you, but it might resonate with other people. That's what I'm trying to say.
It's interesting you say that, and I totally hear where you're coming from. In college, before I ever started producing electronic music, I'm still kind of shy, but like I considered myself to be a very shy person, and I was like, I'm gonna play open mics. That's what I'm gonna do. And so I would go and I would write my own songs and I'd play them at open mics. And it's like, that was a huge part of getting over that phobia for me. And I mean, yeah, there was definitely a time when I would do that. I guess where I'm at now, why do I not sing on my own songs? Apart from the fact I'm not super fond of my own voice. I mean, it's a good point. Plenty of people, plenty of musicians don't have what you classically consider to be,
right,
a great tone or what have you. It's, maybe I'll explore it in the future. There's a producer I really like, and this is actually the opposite direction of where you're going, but there's a producer called, and I'm not sure if I'm saying this right, Galimatius, who I'm a huge fan of his work. And he collaborated with, I think the singer's name is Alina Baraz. Anyway, check it out at some point. Galimatius is an amazing producer. I think he's Danish. And he collaborated with this very, very talented singer. He's like an incredible vocalist. And I was like, wow, he's a great producer. And then his next couple projects, it was him singing. And you're like, this guy can sing. This guy can really sing, and you're like, what can't this guy do? This is crazy. So maybe that's part of it where I hear it's like, oh, you should really you should sing. It's like, maybe I'll take some singing lessons.
Yeah.
Maybe that's the direction I need to go if I'm really gonna consider doing that.
Man?
But
yeah, I'm sure it will help. But you're a really creative dude, and I'm sure that you could figure it out. And if that's something that is a calling for you, I think that you should definitely try and explore that. Outside of that, man, we were talking a little bit about your travels and kind of how you got into music. Yeah. You visited, was it Chile?
I've been all over, man. Where I've lived. So I have been all over. I am from the Chicago suburbs, born and raised. I went to school in Rock Island, Illinois. That's where I went to college. I went to Augustana College. And then from there, I thought I wanted to be a literature professor. But
that's right. I remember you saying that.
Yeah, I thought I wanted to be a literature professor. I think a big part of me didn't, how can I put it? I think a big part of me didn't actually want that because I don't think I took the application process that seriously. But I applied to 3 schools in Chicago for grad school. I didn't get into any of them. And I was like, I guess I'm going to go teach English as a foreign language. So I got what's called TEFL certified in Chicago, summer of 2008, which was a really rough time to be looking for work, if you'll recall. And from there, I found a job posting in Cuenca, Ecuador, which is the 3rd largest city in Ecuador. And I had a Skype interview and they hired me and flew down to Ecuador. And, in retrospect, this, I don't know, in retrospect, this seems like one of the most ridiculously reckless things I've ever done. Cause I couldn't speak, I could speak no Spanish. You understand? I didn't speak any Spanish. I knew how to say gracias and nothing. I could not speak Spanish. Yeah. And I just land in this country where I just don't know anything. But it was awesome. And I'm so glad that I took that leap. So I lived in Cuenca, Ecuador, which is if you haven't been there, it's beautiful. It's a UNESCO World Heritage Site. It's 16th century Spanish architecture, cobblestone street. It's beautiful.
Yeah.
So I lived there for 15, 16 months. During my time there, I had one of my best friends, still my best friend from college. He went to Paraguay and he was in the Peace Corps. And I had a break between terms in Ecuador, and I took a bus trip. I was thinking about flying, and the flights were just, no one flies between Ecuador and Paraguay. So I was like, I'm going to bus it. So, and that was, again, that was in retrospect, kind of reckless. It's just like, I'll figure it out. This is a little bit before smartphones became really ubiquitous. And
yeah,
you're going into these dusty internet cafes and like, when is the bus? Like, where am I staying tonight? Like,
yeah,
what? So I took a bus from Guayaquil in Ecuador to Lima in Peru, which was like, I don't even remember, 27 hours. And you're just going through the desert.
Wow.
And I was just listening to audiobooks and I had one of those like thick iPods with like 100 gigabytes on it or whatever. And I was just listening to like hip hop in Spanish, and I was listening to like audiobooks. And next day took a bus to Tacna in the south of Peru, where that's like on the border with Chile. And a friend of mine had done this trip before, and she was like, this part is going to be a little sketchy. You're going to give your passport to someone, and they're going to like, basically you're like kind of far from the border when you get to Tacna, and to get to Chile, you get in like, what I got in was like a broken down Oldsmobile or something. Like, there's just these people waiting at the bus station. They're like, we'll take you over the border. And you're just in the middle of like a desert, and they're like, give me your passport. And you're like,
yeah,
I really don't want to.
Right. You there, John? You're frozen right now.
Chile, into Arica, which is in the Atacama Desert. And then this is getting really long. Anyway, I eventually arrived. It was just like every day I'm waking up in a city where like, I just felt super lost, but it's like one of the best trips I've ever taken. I met so many people on the bus, and there's just like this random gringo on the bus, and they're like,
yeah,
what are you doing here?
Yeah, you were telling me a little bit about your music exploration in Chile, or one of these South American countries. Can you share a little bit about that?
Of course. Yeah, we're getting pretty far away from the music there. So yeah, in Ecuador was when I really started experimenting with using a beat pad. Like a sampler. So I had an MPC 1000 in Ecuador, and I would just sample everything. I got some Andean folk music, and I would chop that up and make hip hop out of it. I was very much in like a hip hop phase at that time. And I was still using Reason at the time. That's the software I used to use. And in Chile, I met a lot of beat makers as well. So that was very cool.
Wow.
To just connect with that group of people. And really like realizing, as I met them, because I arrived there in 2010, and it was a friend of a friend, my buddy Danielle, who goes by Odie's. He's a very talented hip hop producer. He's still making music
in
all
Chile?
the time. Yeah.
What's his name?
Odie's. Oudies. I follow, if you look at my at who I'm following, I follow him, but he makes, I guess you would call it, he makes instrumental hip hop, but he works with a lot of rappers, Chilean rappers down in Chile.
I'm fascinated by other music that is like, I guess I'm fascinated by other languages and other different types of music. Mm-hmm. So I'm interested in checking your buddy out.
I had some really probably the coolest thing that happened with my music when I was in Chile was how can I tell this story? So there was a girl that I dated in Chile, and her friends were in this like group of people who they had found an abandoned house
Yeah.
like in the outskirts of downtown Chile. There's like this mansion that they had like taken over, and a bunch of her friends lived there, and
Whoa.
they would have parties at this place.
Yeah.
And I was at this house, and they were playing hip hop over the stereo, and I was talking to one of her friends who lived there, and I was like, "What is this? This is really good." And her friend Penny, she was like, "Oh, this is Salvaje Decibel," which is like in English that'd be like savage decibel or wild decibel, is so Salvaje Decibel. And I'm like, this is so good. I'm like, can you give me
Yeah.
this?
Yeah.
It's very, very like conscious, very fast. The production is super good. And she gave me the music on a thumb drive. And, I was teaching English in Santiago at the time, and like going to and from work for weeks, that's all I was listening to was Salvaje Decibel. I was like, this is so good. And it's also really good Spanish practice.
Yeah.
And that went on for a while. And then one day I'm on the subway and my phone rings, and it's Penny, who lived at this house. And
Right.
she's like, hey, like, how would you like to perform with Salvaje Decibel? And I'm like,
Wow.
what? She's like, they're going to play at our house. Like, do you want to perform with them? I was like, yeah, obviously.
Yeah.
Yes. That's incredible.
Yeah.
So they had a party that weekend, and this rap group that I had been just like obsessively listening to
Yeah.
were there, and I had one of them like freestyled over one of my beats, and it was just like, I was so happy. It was
Sweet.
really cool. So
Yeah.
that was a cool experience.
For
Yeah.
sure. That sounds amazing. Which one of your songs, if any, has Spanish influence or Spanish guitar?
That's a good question. I mean, like, I guess I've had people tell me they can kind of hear a Latin American influence or sound in like a lot of my music. Um, I have Okay, so Earthbound Poetics is the first song off of my album called Pacific. And that has a bit of like a subtle cumbia rhythm to it, which is very Latin American. So there's that. Um, I have a song called Shards and another song. I'm forgetting the name of it, which is very embarrassing.
No, it's okay.
Um,
You have a lot of
I have
music, dude.
I have I have another song where there's actually guitar in it that I'm like literally looking at my Spotify right now because I can't remember the name of it, which is
Yeah.
ridiculous.
No worries, dude.
Um, I have a song called Shards, and I have a song called What is the Other One, where it has that what you're looking for, Pulse.
Pulse.
So Shards and Pulse, I would say they both have, there's very strong like plucked acoustic guitar in it,
Uh-huh.
which I would say gives it a little bit of that feeling.
Yeah.
But it's interesting. I've had people tell me that my overall sound reminds them of South America in some way, people who've spent time there. And it's possible I just kind of internalized like an energy when I was down there.
I see.
Uh, but yeah, I mean, Lift is another song that has plucked acoustic guitar on it, which is, this guy right
Mhm.
here. But yeah, I mean, there was a time where I was making, this is not on Spotify. This is kind of older. So for people who really want to like listen to like everything I've made, like I have music on SoundCloud and Bandcamp going back all the way to 2010, 2011. I have an EP I made. There was a net label actually in Argentina that reached out to me, and they wanted me to make like a release for them. And it's pretty much all cumbia. It's like electronic cumbia.
Cool.
So and cumbia. I think we were talking about cumbia a little bit on
On
last
the
time we
last one.
talked with
Yeah.
our yeah, cumbia is, I love that rhythm. It is one of the most unique rhythms like I've come across. And I think it's possibly just because some people find it like very like irritating or repetitive, but
Yeah.
on my visit to my friend in Paraguay, I was on the very last bus I had to take, which was taking me from Argentina into Paraguay. And the bus, everyone's drinking mate, uh, and the bus driver has the radio on, and I'm like, what is this music? This is so weird and cool. This is so different. And the rhythm, the cumbia rhythm, it's very like, it's very like da 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 da. And I don't know. I'd never heard anything like that. And I was like, this would sound really cool with like a hip hop rhythm or like a dance rhythm or like synthesizers. Like I had that thought, and then realized that there was a whole subgenre of music where like bass cumbia bass, like there was already like a whole subgenre of people who did exactly that.
Wow.
They would do like synthesizers and sampling and like with the cumbia rhythm. And I love it, man. Like I still will on some of my productions today, I'll be like, it needs that like cumbia sound, that like rhythm.
Yeah.
So, and that was my first time encountering it. I was just like literally on a bus, like, is anyone else hearing this? This is so good.
Yeah.
And it's just, that's what they listen to. They just listen to cumbia. But there's two kinds too. There's lots of kinds, but there's like fast cumbia, which I don't like as much. And that's like, I guess you'd call it like the more standard cumbia. And then there's the cumbia that I really like, which they call cumbia villera, which is like ghetto cumbia. And I like that a lot better.
Yeah.
Villera. Well, right, because they're in Argentina, right? So all the double L sounds, they don't say, in Argentina, they don't say como te llamas, they say como te llamas.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Como
Every
te
country
llamas.
has its own Spanish. If you go down, do you know any Spanish?
A little bit, yeah.
Yeah. This is one of those things, like I was in Ecuador for 15 months and I was like, cool, I can like have a bad conversation in Spanish. After like a year and a half, I was like, I can kind of like, I can order food, I can ask for directions, whatever. I'm not like fluent by any stretch, but like, cool, I can.
You can get around. Yeah.
I can talk to people. I can have a conversation. Like, I'm not going to know I can't talk about quantum physics with you, but like,
right.
You know, you get to Chile and it's like the pronunciation changes, the speed changes, the rhythm changes.
Right.
The verbs are conjugated differently. It like, it's nuts. It's like they use different words for fruit, different words for clothes.
Wow.
You know, in Ecuador, it's la televisión, and in Chile, it's el televisor. And it's like all kinds of stuff like that.
Yeah, that's really different.
Yeah. And like, I'm not even the grammar is like, yeah, I won't dive into the
That's
grammar,
another discussion.
Like, but yeah, it's like, I got to Chile and I was like, oh shit, like I don't speak Spanish. Like I thought I did, like I have to learn again.
Yeah. I was in Spain maybe a year or two ago in Barcelona, and you know, they have a few different you know, they pronounce things with the th. You know, some said gracias, they'll say gracias, things like that. So I know what you mean. And then my friend is I have a friend who's from Mexico, or like his family's from Mexico, so he speaks Spanish like Mexicans do. And then I have another friend who's from Cuba, or his family's from Cuba, and they speak Spanish like Cubans do. So it's interesting.
You can hear the difference.
Yeah, maybe it's like English like from Britain compared to like English from America. Maybe that's kind of like the same thing.
Yeah, you can occasionally get into some real disagreements with people. I remember when I was living in Chile, I was with this group of expats, and there was an Australian girl in the group, and we were like, we got to get something to eat. And I was like, oh, guys, I know a super bomb pizza spot down the corner. And this Australian girl was like, a what? And I'm like, I was like, a super bomb pizza spot.
Yeah.
And it was like every part of it, like, oh, a bomb pizza, like, oh, it's good. and then a spot, like that's not what they say. Like, I was like, I know a good place for pizza. And she's like, oh, like there's definitely some of that.
Yeah.
In English.
Cool, man. Well, I guess we'll finish up with this one. You had mentioned, I asked you, like, you know, what advice would you give to your younger self? And then I believe you had mentioned, like, you know, it's just like, don't hide your music, like put it out there. Would you still kind of agree in regards to that, like, advice for maybe your younger self, or like people coming up? Like, what advice, you know, would you give to your younger self, or to like a very beginning person in the music
I'm still
industry?
very much early on the path, I would say. I don't want to be too presumptuous. I would say, like, to my younger self, I would say, like, yes, don't be shy about what you create. That doesn't mean put out bad art, but be comfortable with putting yourself out there, which is hard. I think a lot of people struggle with that. That's something I've struggled with for years, frankly. I've made music and I just put it on SoundCloud and, like, that's it. And you know what? It turns out if you want people to hear it, you have to put yourself out there, and that's uncomfortable, and it's gonna be uncomfortable. I would say, what other advice? Practice guitar more, I would say to my younger self. But yeah, just like not being shy about what you create, making sure what you create is of quality, of course, but the job isn't done once you've made it. You need to be putting it out there in one way or another. And of course, like, social media was like barely a thing when I first started making music. I mean, Facebook existed, but like literally the first place I ever put my music was MySpace, because like that's what was there. But then once I was like really into making music, I was very resistant to marketing myself.
Right.
And who knows where that comes from? You have to be comfortable with portraying yourself how you want to be portrayed. And like, no one else is going to take you seriously if you don't take yourself seriously. So if you're like, oh, it's just a hobby, it's just why should anyone else take you seriously?
Right.
You know? So that's definitely something that I would tell my younger self. It's like, yeah, you need to take yourself seriously if anyone else is going to pay attention to. So
yeah. Well, Jon, dude, your music is amazing, in my opinion. I can't wait to hear more of it. So it's really nice touching base with you again, dude. And happy holidays to you, dude. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
This.
Yeah,
appreciate
happy
it.
holidays to you too, and thanks for taking time to chat with me.
Hey, what's up? I'm Marty Yang, creator of the Lucky Brain podcast. Thanks so much for tuning in. If you're enjoying the content, please hit the like button and also subscribe to my channel. Thanks so much. Hope you enjoy.